All right. Well, we'll probably have more people join, but we'll kick this off and get started. First, thank you for joining us today. Really, really excited to share a journey at Target about time and talent and really blending skills and volunteering to make a bigger impact. And now it looks a bit different in our virtual world. So excited to start. I'm Alexis Cantor, she, her, and I'm a mom of a 12-year-old non-binary pan kid. We're also a host home for LGBTQ kids experiencing homelessness. I've been married to my wife for 22 years, and it's better today than it was 22 years ago. And I work at Target, and I've been at Target for almost 18 years. And I have the incredible privilege of being the sponsor for our Pride Plus ERG. And beyond that, I lead teams developing products, color, raw materials, and product safety and quality assurance. Years ago, I would joke that I had a day job and a gay job. But as I think about that, it's just not inclusive enough of what we all do. And then I said I had a day job and a passion job. And that felt a little bit more inclusive of all the work we have to do for the LGBTQ equality and racial equity. But as I think today, there just shouldn't be a divide in any of this work. Everyone's day job needs to include how you are an ally, how you advocate and advance equity all, and create a sense of belonging and success. And before we go on, just make sure you mute yourself. We'll have plenty of time for questions, but it will be helpful for everyone if you could, upon joining, just mute so everyone can hear. Thanks. And then, I feel like this is a public service announcement. You know, we were just talking as we were preparing, there's something really beautiful about being invited into people's homes, but there's also something very real. So while my 12-year-old Avery is in school, they may bust through that door, and they have given up on pants through COVID. So just welcome to reality. So as we move into this, we're just excited to talk about what we've done in terms of skills-based volunteering and how it ties to our purpose. You know, being a purpose-driven company is critical for us. And it is really important to create a clear purpose for your program around volunteering and tie it to your corporate strategy. So at Target, our purpose is to help all families discover the joy of everyday life. And this is especially critical now in the midst of a global pandemic, social injustice, and racial equity work. And at Target, we also have to acknowledge our privilege of being able to continue to work, to be able to do it safely from our homes, and that we have to use our voice and our size for good and stand with the communities we serve. Not in front of them, but often behind them, supporting everything that we need to do to continue to thrive. So as you think about your own company's journeys and what you're looking to accomplish through volunteering, use your purpose to identify a pool of community partners. Be clear about that purpose and the expectations for the scope of your engagement, and ask your community partners to share their top needs. Skills-based volunteering extends the nonprofit organization's infrastructure you work with. It provides a consulting framework to deliver work and coaching and mentoring of emerging leaders that will help scale their capabilities. It's like a secret, kind of superpower behind you, being able to add assets to your organization that you wouldn't have had. And we know right now the pandemic has taken a toll on nonprofits' ability to continue to do their work. The skills-based volunteering also provides an emotional anchor for employees who want to engage differently while building strong connections. I think we're all desperate to stay connected and find community in these super uncertain times. And this is a space that you get to take action and deliver upon both our company's purpose and your own values and purpose to drive success through the nonprofit organizations. I'm joined by Debbie, who's actually going to be able to give you some real-time context and share a little bit of the history of the event and why she got involved.
Hi, everybody. My name is Debbie Ryan. I use she, her pronouns. I am on the Pride Plus Business Council under Alexis, focusing on our nonprofit partnerships pillar. First off, I joined the pillar out of two things. One, a desire to come out at work after being very inspired by a lot of other employees that were on the Business Council. And two, because I really love to volunteer. Upon joining the council, I first heard of skills-based volunteering, and this is an event in which we are saying, okay, we're doing these events with our nonprofit partners, like cleaning up basements, stuffing flyers, all of those types of things, but what's a way that we can build upon that relationship? And so we were thinking, we sit at Target and we're this wonderful company with people with really great skills. How could we maybe give more of those skills to those nonprofit organizations that we are working with? It was also able to help us extend our relationship further with those nonprofit organizations. So we, really reached out to the entirety of Target and said, hey, we're going to bring in some nonprofits to Target. Do you have any skills that you'd be willing to offer? And we'll get kind of more into the how-to and little bits about that, how we've adjusted when it comes to the pandemic and working virtually. But as Alexis had mentioned, it really is a model in which aligns to our company purpose, but also extends to those nonprofit organizations as well.
Awesome, thanks. So what we're hoping through this conversation is it's part inspiration, part that we also get to learn from what you all are doing, and part just real tangible, like here's some stuff, take it and recreate things in your own organization. So to make it real, kind of very realistic, right, the setup. And really the setup is critical for the nonprofits for success. The nonprofit organizations didn't know what to expect when they were coming in. And so something that, again, a benefit of being in this kind of new virtual normal is that we created an virtual open house to provide a platform for questions in preparation for the event. When we think about setting up our partners for success, really one of the biggest barriers to success is just having your nonprofits not understanding to sign up for this, right? It's the help us help you moment of don't be afraid. It doesn't matter how organized or disorganized or how ready you are for this. It's about understanding how this is a win-win for all, and the skills of our team members can benefit and be kind of that consultant force to help a nonprofit get moving on things that are really critical. So they got information. It wasn't just about the event, but it was about what it could offer, like we were saying, and also how it would work virtually. I think there is, like we were talking about, so much uncertainty. So where we can and should provide clarity, we do, right? I read something recently that said people were rewatching shows they've already seen or movies they've already watched because there's a certainty of knowing the ending. And again, when people are trying to deal with so many things and complexities of today, whatever we can do to set the nonprofits up for success and knowing what they're getting, knowing what they'll be involved with, and knowing how together we can create something really valuable was important. The other benefit that I'm not sure that we thought of when we went in, but it was something we watched happen was, as we engaged with people in the open house, we had other connections to other nonprofits. And so through people, we had bigger collaborations and other nonprofits join. Be prepared to answer lots of questions and not just have like one email moment, but several points of contact. I know at Target, we're very used to working in a very processed way, but not everybody works in the same way. And so being able to share information in multiple ways so that people can process it differently is important. And again, leveraging all of our networks, internal, external, the nonprofits we already knew to introduce us to nonprofits that we don't. And then having an early understanding of key stakeholders. So you'll be able to determine who will be representing the nonprofit organizations that you're working with. And it's a great time to encourage more representation. Truly, the more diverse thought and people at the table, the better. And so again, I'll just kick it over to Debbie to add all the work she has done in the setup and driving the diversity.
So as Alexis had mentioned, we really like to encourage a lot of our nonprofit organizations to say, you know, bring as many people as you want to the table and tell us like what kind of projects are you looking at working on? Because chances are we might have somebody with that skill set that can really help to bring that project to either a start or to an end or to just build upon the idea. And so when we were talking to our nonprofits about opening up their net, we also did the same thing back at Target to really ensure that we were casting our net really wide and open to ensure that we were getting volunteers from all over the company and really telling them that you don't need to be an expert in this category. So if your nonprofit comes to you and says, hey, I really need marketing help, it's great to have people that are in the marketing world on the call with that nonprofit, but it's also helpful to have somebody who's maybe not in that world and can bring a different perspective. So we really encourage everyone to have confidence that they have expertise in a wide variety of ways. So as we have our nonprofits bring people to the table, we try to bring that same diverse perspective. And Alexis, I'll let you build a little bit more on the.
Awesome. I love what Debbie said, because truly, right, the skills are generic. What makes these events successful are the ideas and the collaborations that create magic because of the diversity at the table. Really cast a wide net for volunteers, and the volunteers being your employees who are looking to have an impact. And we can't say this enough, but the diversity of the group is the unique and special ingredient that ensures successful engagement. We've also realized that one of the barriers brought on both the volunteer side as well as the nonprofit side is a lack of confidence in their own skills. And I just have to say, and this is not blowing smoke, this is real. Every single person on this call, at your companies, at Target, you bring more than you think you do. We need to prop each other up and give ourselves full credit for what you bring. You have different lived experiences, you have different professional experiences, and the way you think about that is going to be that thing that connects to one other person, or connects to a way the nonprofit is thinking about something, or expands their thought into something else. And then be realistic, recruit specialty skills as needed to address the needs of the nonprofit. And so that's where, again, tying back to how do you set this up for success? How do you learn more in an open house? Then you know where you can tap other people in your organization to come in and help. And then lastly, and I think at Out and Equal, this is just a foundational understanding, but create spaces for all voices to be heard. The more diverse the volunteer group, the wider range of ideas we can provide for our nonprofit partners. When we hosted these events in person, there were only about, we could do maybe 3 to 5 people per nonprofit. And with virtual, you have greater access and equity, because we can do different breakout rooms, we can tackle different topics. There's some pretty cool things that make this even better than if we were just doing this live. Now, don't get me wrong, I will be very excited when I get to be in a room with some people and we get to talk. I love whoever's dog just barked. but this is the new normal. And I always struggle with saying even the new normal. I think we're finding ways that we're creating the future. We're using technology and we're advancing even better ways of working. So as we think about the virtual benefits, again, it's more people, more access, location doesn't matter. You can manage time zones, you have breakout rooms. And again, at Target, we were always very lucky and we have a lot of resources at our disposal. So space, we had lots of spaces, we had different things, but this is a moment where we have the privilege of now being home, safely working, Target providing us with those resources. So we want to make sure that this is a safe moment for our nonprofit partners to sustain and grow their work. Collaboration can continue, right, in these virtual spaces. And the cool thing about adapting to virtual benefits is everyone processes things differently. You have different dimensions of difference. This actually allows people time and space. You've got the ability to look things up pretty quickly, not look like you're on your phone and you're not paying attention. You can process information, ask questions safely. It really is a way to make sure that those in attendance get to show up authentically in a way that works for them to build success for their nonprofit. So I'm gonna have Debbie share. She's got some cool stories about how actually being virtual allowed us to do something we couldn't have done in a live moment.
So as Alexis mentioned, we definitely love to be in the room with our nonprofits. There's something magical about that. But again, because we've been so privileged to be able to work from home and to have a lot of the resources that we do, we were so happy that we got to continue doing this work and continue to keep that relationship close with our nonprofits. This year, when we switched to virtual to do this event, we actually had one of our nonprofits not be able to come anymore. We still had their objective of the thing that they were trying to accomplish during our skills-based volunteering, and we already had the volunteers ready and on board to do some of that work. So even though no one could come from the organization to represent them, we were actually still able to work on that project. So the part of it being virtual is we all got to get on that Zoom call and look at all the different objectives and work on them separately, go into different breakout rooms to kind of piece it apart and come back together as a group. So we were able to bring this work back to that nonprofit that had to that wasn't able to attend last minute. So this is just another benefit of the virtual world where you have a lot more time and you can kind of pivot the way that your day is set up. So typically these events we schedule for about 4 hours in the morning and then through lunch, so then people can process right after lunch. But this is also a nice time to say that because we are plugged in at different times, it allows us to really hop in, hop off, and come back to it after, as Alexis mentioned, after we have some processing. Or if you have a child at school, you can hop off for a few minutes and be able to come back in and reconnect. So the work just continues without feeling like, oh, I have to cram this all in right now. That's been really, really great positive of the virtual benefits.
Yeah, I love what you're saying, Debbie. I also think that by pivoting to virtual, we had to be more proactive in some of our understanding of the strategies and experiences and engagement our nonprofits wanted. And because we now know that, and we did other touch points, to Debbie's point, the way the work can then happen can look really different, whether the nonprofit is there, you can engage differently. And so it's really helpful. So I see in the chat that somebody's not understanding what we did. So if I could just break it down real simply, if you imagine pre-COVID, we used to have events with our nonprofit organizations called skills-based volunteering events. We would understand the nonprofit needs. Maybe it was a marketing strategy. Maybe they needed a website. Maybe they needed financial help, or they needed to plan, make a business case, you name it, right? There were no limits to what the objectives could be. And then we would meet we would brainstorm, we would collaborate, we'd had different ways of taking you through. Now we've pivoted and we do that same work, but now we do it virtually with open houses to get the setup and the experience right. We engage with a greater number of representatives at the nonprofit organizations, and then we take them through and still do that same work. So really for us, we almost act as pro bono consultants, adding, you know, our experience. So for me, as an engineer, I can come in and help a nonprofit with a skill set that I bring. You know, we have merchants that can come in and help an assortment plan, right? There's so many different ways you tie what you do professionally to helping our nonprofits. And again, in this very real time of struggle, nonprofits are not all set up for success through this pandemic. And so that's why it was so critical to us to take what had worked so well live and turn it virtual, because now more than ever, we needed to be responsible to help the nonprofits we serve be successful. And I love that how this ties into our success measures. So when you think about success, there's a bazillion ways to measure it. And really the way we start is with the qualitative side, right? How do you make it personal? You know, make it personal metrics. And what is really, really important, you know, we've talked about, you know, alignment on the setup, alignment on expectations, being purpose driven. And really it starts right from the onset of defining success measures for both the target volunteers as well as our nonprofit partners. So we end each of our events with a very real-time feedback session. We schedule follow-ups with the nonprofits and the volunteers. And again, it allows time for people to walk away, think about what we accomplished, think about where we may need to pivot or how we want to do an and to what we've already worked on. And this helps measure any additional opportunities or ways to build and improve upon. We've done surveys, we do follow-up meetings. This again is meet people where they're at. What were we trying to make happen for a nonprofit? What did we accomplish, and what do we still need to do? A way that we think about this is really utilizing existing metrics. So many of our nonprofits already have valuable ways of reporting on work they do. How do we lean into that to make sure that the work we're providing is even better for what they're trying to accomplish? And then the return on investment also provides storytelling, right? On the softer side of the return, storytelling is huge. It's a way to increase engagement. You can share the wins across your organization and illustrate the value both for your company and for the team members' professional development. You know, we mentioned that we wanted our volunteers to have a sense of confidence in what they bring. And this really allows for our ERG members to go back to their leaders and share stories of how their skills unlocked and accelerated work at a nonprofit within our community. Another thing that is pretty cool is that it inspires moments beyond volunteering. So many of our volunteers who started with one simple experience and engagement are now signing up for other ways to volunteer with those nonprofits outside. And we've had people join boards, which is incredible because again, it makes that ecosystem of corporate and nonprofit work so much more seamlessly together. And then as you think about success, hindsighting is incredibly valuable. Again, because this work and collaboration is purpose-driven, it should be mutually beneficial. It's from everything from how we engage in the communities, how we show up on boards, how our team members have stories to share within our organization about what skills-based volunteering does for the communities we serve at Target. And right, so there's the softer side, the storytelling, the stuff that makes you feel good, which is all really, really important. We all need that. But there's also the results side, right? The hard stuff, the quantitative side. And we need it, right? We're a business and we need to show results. And return on investment is really, really important to track. It illustrates your ERG's effectiveness and progress on scaling the capabilities we're trying to drive in skills-based volunteering. We use an example of a consulting value. So we have kind of a typical rate and the amount of time we spend, you know, with these nonprofits, which gives us amount of money that the nonprofits would have spent on a consultant. And we show that as time and money that we have been able to save the community, which is incredible. And again, depending on the ERG volunteer, right, our volunteers have lots of different day jobs. And as they go back to different parts of Target, they can tell a story and what's meaningful to those around them. And for some, you know, the dollar matters. This also ties to Target's commitment for pro bono work, which we'll talk a little bit more about in just a few. But again, this helps tell the story of the important work team members and employees do as members of an ERG. This gives them concrete metrics to discuss with their leaders on the value they are driving and directly ties back to our goals and objectives. And of course, again, utilize the existing measures and metrics from your nonprofit partners. You know, maybe they already report on fundraising goals or followers or social media clicks, marketing presence, business planning. All of those are going to be really important as you build the return on investment metrics for each engagement. And so, right, you've thought about success, you've had the setup, you have the right diverse partners, you've analyzed all of the amazing results. Where do we take it from here, right? How do we think about the future? What's cool about virtual, it allows us more frequent events. In-person events typically took about 4 to 6 months to plan and coordinate. Virtual, we can do much, much quicker. We can be much more agile and flexible in our approaches. We can share stories from nonprofits about our collective impact. The cool thing that we're doing now at Target is this program is being scaled to all of our ERGs. And we've expanded both internally and externally. So we're working with ERGs outside of Target to do this for our communities. And as a company, this is what I think I could not be more proud of this team, but as a company, Target has used our Pride Plus ERG as an example and has committed 10,000 hours to pro bono work and has focused on it being skills-based volunteering in 2020 as a way to successfully volunteer. And I just have to pause there because there was, again, this isn't a group of people that this is their full-time job. This is the job they do because it matters. And the idea that they were able to stand something up, make it so successful live, make it even more successful virtually, and now a model for our company is just outstanding. And I think for us, remembering that volunteering does not need to stop just because we can't be together physically. Virtual skills-based volunteering also allows for increased participation because it removes obstacles and boundaries. And again, we say this often because we don't want to sound like we're unaware, but we are very lucky at Target to be safely working remotely, have our jobs, have a sense of security. And so we really want to make sure that this allows our employees to continue volunteering. And it just gives, it continues to tie to our purpose. And then, sorry, I was looking at a question. How do you coordinate these efforts within Target? Okay, we'll get to that one. That's a great question. And then lastly, I am lucky enough to have taken you through this presentation and Debbie has added in, but I am really just representing the incredible work of the Target Pride Plus ERG. This right here is the team that makes it all happen. And so a ginormous virtual thank you to Justin for leading the strategy, Joshua for creating this program to start, Andrew for taking what Josh had created and turning it virtual, and then Debbie for being here, being part of all this work and representing the whole team with me. And our ask as we get into now, hopefully discussion and some questions and hopefully sharing, is we want you to bring this back to your companies and help us make it better. Some of the things that I love about Out and Equal is you have moments of inspiration and moments that you get something that is rock solid that you can go back and start because it's there. But we want to hear from you, because how can we improve? What are you all doing to live your purpose and tie your company's values to the work you do in the community? How can we do more by extending our communities virtually and by being connected as a bigger queer and ally network, right? That's kind of what we're doing today. And because this is all in service of building a better tomorrow together, right? The beauty of all of this isn't self-serving. It does make you feel good, and everybody needs that right now. But the point of this work and the point of using our size, scope, and scale at Target is because the health of our nonprofits, the health of the communities we serve, it's critical to everyone's success. And the more equity that we can bring to that, and the more diversity we can extend, it's the magic, right? It's the secret sauce. It's the thing that will keep this going, no matter what we're living through. Global pandemic, climate crises, social injustice, racial equity fight. Like, there is so much. This is a way to tie all of that work, the intersectionality, and again, make people's lives better through our organizations. So before we get into Q&A, a huge thank you for listening to this, already asking great questions. I'm excited to continue to talk. And what I would say is feel free to put questions in the chat, but if you also would like to come off mute and on camera and be live, we are fine for that too. It's why we wanted to make this a meeting. So we can start with whatever we've got already. All right, so one of the first questions is, how do you coordinate these efforts within Target and get the employees involved? I am going to kick that one right over to Debbie, because it involves a lot of communication using all of our internal networks. But I'm going to have Debbie give you some specifics.
Hi, everybody. So that is one of the more complex internal Target things that we use. We have a few different systems that we've been utilizing in order to get everyone on the volunteering side of things internally at Target. So a lot of this is coming from our internal sharing of our Pride Plus organization. So if you subscribe to our Pride Plus organization as a Target employee, we post a lot on a group we call Yammer that says something along the lines of, hey, we're going to be hosting this event. We're looking for these specific skills. Would you want to help? We really drive home that you don't have to be an expert, and really hope that people will sign up that way. And then it takes them to an internal site where they can do signing up for volunteering. I actually want to back it up just a little bit to the beginning of how we even discover what is needed. When we first reach out to our nonprofits and ask them if they have any specific objectives they'd like to try to work on, that's when we start asking those foundational questions. So if it is something specific like building a website, we definitely want to make sure that when we cast our net of volunteers, we say we really need somebody with these specific skills, but we still encourage other skills to be brought to the table. Sometimes we have some of our nonprofits that say things a bit more general, like, hey, we really need some help fundraising. So we're not necessarily always going to go out to our wider net of volunteers to say who has fundraising experience. We also want to see what other experience can be brought back to our nonprofits that might help further that conversation. Utilizing the internal systems and really those continuous touch points with our nonprofits, we're able to come to a more cohesive volunteer match. How this could look at your company might be a little bit different depending on what you have. But at the end of the day, it's just finding the way that gets the most word out there to your mass group of people that you work with. So if you have internal pages that you work on, this would be a good place to post, or if you want to send it out to your business councils.
Thanks, Debbie. I love that. And I think everything is better when you make it personal. And I love how we were able to share stories of people joining boards, people getting involved outside of Target. For me, we would never have been a host home for kids experiencing homelessness or foster parents if we hadn't engaged with a nonprofit called Avenues. And so life-changing moments, you know, you start because you think you can use your company's purpose and resources to benefit others. And in the end, what you realize is you are learning and growing and expanding your understanding of how, you know, of all the different ways you can impact the world. So another question came in. Have you run into any challenges where Target did not agree or approve of nonprofit organizations you were trying to engage? How did you overcome this? That is an awesome question and very real. Like many companies, we have pretty serious vetting. Now, the good news for the Pride Plus ERG is we've been around a really long time. We have some really established nonprofit partnerships. And so that is easy. The harder things is engaging with newer partners that we have to take through vetting. I will say, and Debbie, you can jump in, I've seen less issues with vetting our nonprofit partners. In reality, where we struggle sometimes is, let's say we're trying to have a speaker come in or connect with another external or to do in this work. That's where we might run into more of a vetting issue. Because typically the nonprofits we're working with, they align to our purpose and our values. So Debbie, what do you think?
So I will say before we agree upon working with that nonprofit organization, we do go through an internal vetting process. So the first step is making sure they have, they are actually a 5013C and 503, you know what I mean, making sure that they truly are a nonprofit. The next part is we do some digging into what are their goals, like what are their values as an organization, and how does that align to Target's purpose? Oftentimes, because we are coming from the Pride Plus organization, we are looking for specific organizations that fit within those values that we are working on. But those change every single year, even though things have an LGBTQ plus lens. There are also things we look at. So in the state of a pandemic, we said, hey, which ones of our nonprofits are actually working within the health sector. And then we also do a few more things of having touch points with those organizations to ensure that everything that they're doing would align with something that Target would want to do. But as this has been brought to other ERGs within Target, those might shift and change. But at the end of the day, we haven't really run into many obstacles where an organization wouldn't align with our values.
And the one other thing that I would add is, especially as we are continuing to evolve skills-based volunteering, gone are the days that there's one checkbox. Intersectionality is everything. When you think of who makes up the LGBT community, it's everyone. And so I think, again, our proactive partnership with our other ERGs to ensure that we have a holistic look at the nonprofits that support all of our communities is critical. And I love that other people are sharing. So thanks, Heather, for more information on vetting.
Can you guys?
We got another question. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, hey, this is Day. Hey, thanks
Hi.
for your answers. One thing that I forgot to add to my question is specifically for nonprofit in support of the LGBT. I think, well, at least in my experience, it was challenging to get those nonprofit vetted. Our company does have a vetting process, but somehow it's more challenging. So I was hoping, is there any more specific strategy that you can share that could help more successful in targeting those LGBT nonprofits?
I love that. Thank you for jumping on and for adding that. This is going to take us right back to the beginning of the conversation in that I'm a big believer that you get more done by using your company's words, right? And so Target has a set of language. We have a purpose, we have values, we have mission, we have goals and objectives. every bit of that gives me all the ammunition needed to then deliver why these nonprofits fit everything we're doing, right? And so I do think if there are questions, how do you tie it back to the commitments you've already made around diversity, equity, inclusion, including the LGBTQ community, and always bring it back, because I think it's easy to start to get into minor disagreements of this organization does this or this does that. If you tie it back to your purpose and mission, it's harder to argue that they shouldn't be vetted. Now, having said that, if your purpose isn't inclusive enough, I think that's a different conversation, and happy to talk offline about what is the work that you might need to do to drive that in service of what you might want to do with nonprofits. Excuse me, sorry. Okay, another question. What are some of the biggest challenges you face in gaining volunteers? It's interesting because I don't think we have any trouble now. But Debbie, I don't know if you want to jump in and talk about kind of where it started and what it looks like now to get the volunteers that we need.
Yes. So you may have noticed a theme throughout the presentation where I keep mentioning this word of not needing to be an expert. I think the biggest challenges that we've faced have been this confidence, making sure that the people that we're asking to help with these skills feel confident that they have a skill. So I am a merchant at Target, but one of the things that I have discovered is that through these events, I have a skill set that I've learned in various different bits of my jobs that have allowed me to be able to bring some advice on a variety of things. So I'll give the example of we were working with a nonprofit that was really trying to train their board and how to help their board be more open to doing things like fundraising. I've never been in fundraising, but I know that when working on my team currently, the way to help people learn something new is to really ask them what they want to see. So it's just a different way of having conversations, and bringing that to your nonprofit is a way to push that forward. So that would be one of the biggest challenges that we faced in getting volunteers is, hey, you have a lot to share. You have a lot of skills. Another thing would be participation. So previously when we were doing our volunteering events in person, it was really important that everyone who said they were going to sign up really does show up. What we found in person is that some things can come up, making it a little bit difficult to get there in person. But one of the benefits of virtual is that we had a much higher attendance. I think because people were able to split apart their day a little bit differently because of having the privilege to work from home like we did at Target. So those would be two of the biggest things that I would call it as being challenges.
And then word of mouth, right? Don't forget about, and I think someone put it in the chat, use every bit of your network, your allies. I mean, once people start to hear how others are getting engaged and what it does, that's our best storytelling moment ever. I think there was a hand raised too. So if somebody wants to come off and ask a question or share a thought.
Hey, this is Heather Coda from Bank of America. I could not love this presentation anymore. It was amazing. What you're doing is amazing, and kudos, love it. We have a lot of similar work here at Bank of America. I'm super proud of what we've done to create. We've kind of taken skills-based volunteerism and built it into mentoring programs. We've used it with our disabilities ERG, with our LGBT ERG, resume building, etc. Trans work, which has been extremely amazing. So totally amazing what you're doing. One thing I wanted to comment on, and I forget who made the question about it, but how do we get people involved? We found that by going to our senior executives and getting them behind our program, we can have them go out and deliver that message to their team. When someone bigger than me is representing the cause, a lot of people want to get involved. So that's been, that has been something that we have ice cream socials, because who doesn't love ice cream? We do the fun things to spread the word and make sure that people understand they're not necessarily incentivized to do it, but they understand the goal of the company is met by them getting involved. So Hopefully that's helpful to someone out there. And just one thing I wanted to say to Dee Lee, you know, I work in a lot of volunteerism in my region in Southern California, and my heart goes out to every mom and pop nonprofit. I want to literally help every last one of them. But the truth of the matter is that my company is a really big company, and we have very solidified goals and what we're trying to do. And I think, just like Alexis said, you know, using that language to craft any kind of, you know, application process, it's critical. And we frequently, as great things that are happening out there in the community, if we just shift our focus and find those nonprofits that check off more of those boxes, whether they're, you know, all of the intersectionality or not, that's going to get us approved. And working with those market president type people in your region, that, you know, partnering with people, it helps carry that approval across the finish line. Thanks for letting me share.
Oh my God, that was awesome. Thank you. Really appreciate saying that you enjoyed this, because I think anyone who ever presents anything, you're stressed that you're hoping you make a connection, and virtually we all wonder. But I love what you shared, and I think so helpful for others to hear. I will build on something Heather said. Expect a lot of your sponsors, right? Your exec sponsors better be doing their job. And I say that as an exec sponsor. There's a reason I'm in this role. Anyone on our council knows I don't really love sharing my title. The fact that it was even on a screen like shot is uncomfortable for me, but there is very real privilege with VP being in front of my name. What I do with that is critical, and it's beyond just the Pride ERG, it's all ERGs. But there is something that if we know we need to put something out there, we've got to put it out there, right? When I send something to my team, it does carry something with it. And again, if you aren't getting the support you need from your sponsors to help remove barriers and roadblocks at your company, expect more. My job is, as you've seen, Debbie and everyone on the Pride Plus ERG at Target are exceptional humans. They are masterful business planners. They are just world-class in every way. My job is to make them better by getting stuff out of their way, is knowing the you know, using my network and being able to build off of that. But please, I know years and years there are different sessions that talk about how do you use your executive sponsors. Expect them to do more and to be better. So I've just add that.
And just to build on what Alexis was saying, again, having the privilege of having somebody in Alexis' position that really has an open door policy has been extremely helpful to remove a lot of those barriers. I would just suggest that, I know I put it in the chat, but we have these how-to documents for both in-person and for virtual on our Pathable profile. I will share that link after this as well. But just sometimes that's a good way to ease into that conversation of, hey, I attended this Out and Equal Summit in which we learned how to do this specific thing. I would love to bring this to our team. And being able to bring the materials with you can also be really helpful having that conversation. If you don't feel as if that door is quite as open, it's a nice way to link it onto an email as well. So there are ways to adjust with that too. And as always, please feel free to reach out. I'll put my contact information in the chat as well. If you're wanting to continue that conversation of how to, bring this back to your company. It is challenging within the pandemic of how do we stay connected to our nonprofits, but how do we continue to help them build upon that great work that they're already doing? Being constantly inspired by them and watching them pivot and change during the pandemic has really pushed us to want to adjust and pivot with them. So I really encourage that you also do this, and also beat us at our own game. So if you found ways to do this better, please tell us, share that with us. Somebody had mentioned it earlier, this is a great way to stop competing with other companies, but instead join forces. 100% completely. In Minnesota, we have a lot of different headquarters here, and by working together with them, that's where we've struck gold completely, because there's different skills they can bring bring to help these nonprofits. And it's also a way that our nonprofits now have more visibility to their organization because of all the eyes that were on during those meetings and the conversations that continue well beyond the actual volunteer event.
I love that. That co-elevation is everything. I was lucky enough to be on a panel yesterday with Qualcomm and AT&T, and we were all talking about how in our cities and our regions, we've created workplace councils that are inclusive. So in Minneapolis, we have a workplace council of about 30 companies. And again, diversity, equity, and inclusion is a pre-competitive advantage. If we want people to feel a sense of belonging and to be their authentic selves in Minneapolis and the region around us, that is not just a benefit to Target, that's a benefit to our communities and the other companies. And it is a moment where we all win when we're working together in this. Awesome. Where on the Out and Equal website is this playbook available? So it's, Debbie, do you want, I'm like, it's in our Pathable link, I think. So Debbie, you want to give better detail than that? Oh, it's right there.
Our profile, this will bring you to our Pathable profile. And then if you click on files, that's where you'll see the two different documents in which you can access the in-person for the day in which we were all in healing and out of this pandemic. And but also virtual, even if we aren't, because as we mentioned, there are a lot of really, really good benefits that come with virtual, and just being able to ask your nonprofit organizations, what are the obstacles and barriers you're currently facing, and how exactly can we help? Oh, you're not able to access, I will try to send another link. It's just on our regular profile. Okay, I will send a new one.
I love that. I mean, this is a speedy group. I love that so many people already went in. And to build on what Debbie's saying again, when you do get access to it, take a look at it. Let us know, this is our network, right? By being here virtually, we get to connect and we get to make each other's work better. So if there's things you're seeing, please tell us. And if there's things you're trying, like Heather shared, or if there's other ways that you're working even better, right? And so we got information here. So if you go to the session page through the agenda where you join this meeting, you'll be able to see it in the files section. Awesome. And we have just a couple minutes. So any last thoughts, questions? Anyone else want to share? If not, I just want to say thank you. Being able to present on behalf of Target is really a privilege. We are very, very lucky to work for a purpose-driven company that's goal every day to help all families discover the joy of everyday life. And discovering the joy of everyday life has definitely taken a different meaning given what we are all living through globally, whether it's divisive politics here or around the globe. It's the fight for LGBT equality and, things that are making us nervous with the Supreme Court, whether it's social justice or fighting for racial equity. These are the moments that doing this kind of work together will build a better tomorrow. And so just really, really want to thank you all for being an incredibly engaged audience, for sharing and helping us learn from you and with you. I, for one, could not believe that already it's day 2, and I feel as connected to the Out and Equal community as if I was in person, and that's just a testament to Out and Equal as an organization and all of the people that show up to do the work and to build the network and to bring equity to all. So thank you for being here today.
Kathleen, Alexis, and I also just put in the chat, don't forget to take our survey at the end of this. And if you do have a question and you just didn't think of it right now, please feel free to ask it on our Pathable profile and we'll be responding to you by the end of this week. But thank you again for being a great group of people and for having us.
And then for Debbie and I can stay on just for the few more minutes that we have. So as people are leaving, if there's anything that people want to ask in a smaller setting, feel free. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Enjoy the rest of your day. I love it, Coles.
Hi, good afternoon on
Hi.
my. I just realized that I might not be afternoon right now.
It is
for us.
here.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I can't find where you're saying to find the files.
Oh, on our Pathable profile,
You're talking about the engagement center?
it's on our actual one where you had to go to click to join the meeting.
Yes.
Section on the right-hand side that says files, and the 2 files are in there.
Section on the right-hand side that says files.
Oh, Debbie sent out another link too, if that helps.
That will get you to where it was, and then there's files to the side.
So I see the survey. Oh, thank you. I found it. Thank you
Awesome.
so much. This was a fantastic seminar. And, you know, I had often thought about something like this to take back to work in general, but this is tangible as opposed to just thought. So this is fantastic. Thank you so
Love
much.
to hear it.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for being here.
All right. Have a wonderful day. Keep up the
You
great work.
too.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Awesome. All right. Any other thoughts anyone wants to share, or we can wrap this up? All right. I think we're good. Thanks everyone for attending. And again, like Debbie said, if you do think of things after this, just contact us through Pathable and we will make sure we get you information. Thanks so much, everyone.
I'll stay on a little bit longer just in case.
I just saw Chris.
Oh.
Awesome. All right. Nailed it, Debbie. Nice job.
You too.
All right. I'm getting off of here.
Okay.
Enjoy the rest of the summit.
Yes, you as well.
Bye.
Bye.